Hey everybody, thanks for joining me again. Today I want to take a look at a new knife that I got. Been using it for, I don't know, about 3 weeks or so. I'd like to tell you, some of the things I like, kind of go over it. Okay everybody, let's go ahead and take a look at this bad boy right here. I am a real big fan of this kind of blade design, the sheepfoot Warncliffe style blade. I really like this style blade, and as you can see, it is LC200N. And what's really awesome about this knife is that, let me see if I can show you that in there. Anyway, it's got nested scales. They're nested in the liner to where they machined out the holes to lighten the knife, and then they nested the scales in that. I mean, that was just an extra bit of machining. I just don't know if I'm showing that well enough to, if you guys can see that. Anyway, right there maybe. That is just a really, really nice touch. I love that. The frame is made out of LC200N. The pocket clip is titanium. The screws are titanium. It's got it's running phosphor bronze washers with some sort of magic fairy dust going on there, because this knife is way smoother than you would expect for just phosphor bronze washers. And I did not oil this knife at all. This knife is exactly as it came out of the box right now. It's got a compression lock. Those of you that do not know what a compression lock was, this was my first compression lock. So I guess I would describe a compression lock as a like a frame lock, only on the top of the knife. It operates in a similar way, and this knife just drops closed. And I haven't done anything to this knife, haven't adjusted it, haven't oiled it. It's got a lanyard through hole, but not just a hole, it's got like a piping for the lanyard to go through. If you're a lanyard guy, you like to hang decorations off your knife and whatnot. This G10 scales is not only super attention grabbing, because it looks like like a bumblebee, but it's textured. I don't know if you guys can, it's a textured, it's the black part of the scale is raised, so it's real super grippy, meticulously, machined. The scales fit perfect and they're nested. I mean, can you guys see how the scales are nested into the frame of the knife? That is just awesome. I've never had a knife like that. This is my most expensive knife I've ever purchased, being in the $170-ish range, and I justified it because I needed a really good camp knife. That's what this is going to be for me, because I'm not a scuba diver or a jet ski racer or fisherman or anything like that, to where I need a knife with this kind of rust resistance. But I figured I do like a good camp knife. The shape of this blade is perfect for chopping up my food. I like to do more extravagant meals when I'm out camping and stuff than most people do. I like to cook, and one of my favorite places to do my cooking is in the middle of nowhere. I really get a kick out of that. This is going to serve that for me. I'm going to, carry it around, and I have a tendency to kind of abuse my knives when I'm camping, as far as not making sure that they're completely dry, and wiping them down with some oil or whatever the case may be. I'm not a real good guy about that. So I figured this really will suit my purposes. Done some chopping. I really like it. It slices through vegetables and any kind of food prep. Like that's what it was made for. I haven't had to sharpen it at all. I'm really happy with this knife. It is really a smooth operating knife for just having, you know, bronze washers. I mean, if you didn't know any better, if you weren't a knife guy, you'd swear that that was, you know, running on ball bearings. I mean, I don't know how they get their knives, you know, that smooth. I mean, it's really something. And keep in mind, I can make this smoother if I oil it up and you know, maybe adjust the pivot, but I'm not going to. I don't want to take any chances of you know, doing anything to my warranty, because I do plan to use this knife, and if I have any problems with it, this is a knife I'll just you know, send back. Let's see, what else can I tell you about this knife? Really really solid. You know, it's got a great look to it. I mean, I guess you're either gonna love or hate these scales, you know, this bumblebee pattern. And at first, when I first saw it, I was like, oh my god, holy smokes, man, that's a little much for me, you know, because I'm more of a, you know, plain Jane kind of, you know, fella. I like my knives kind of plain Jane, but this grew on me, you know, this really did grow on me. Let's get some measurements on it. And another thing about this knife I want to mention is when I'm carrying this knife, it's a large knife. Like, this is not a small knife, but it carries like a much smaller knife because it's designed so well, you know, that you know, that it's really super thin because of those nested liners. It just doesn't feel like as big a knife as it is, and it's really really lightweight. Let me get the scale here. Okay, so this knife is 4 ounces, right on the money. Let's go to grams for you guys that like to see things in grams. About 119 grams. Let's get some measurements of the knife itself. So the knife is just under 5 inches closed. The height of the knife at the highest point is, you know, just under 2 inches high, and open we got a little over 8 1/4 long blade open. How long is the blade? Let's see here. The blade is 3.6 inches long, thereabouts. One of the surprise measurements, I think, is going to be the thickness of this knife. This knife is really thin. It's about 12 millimeters thick. That's really thin. About 12 millimeters thick. How thick is the blade? The blade stock about 4 millimeters thick. Let's see if we can get you a measurement of the thickness behind the edge here. Looks to be about 24 thousandths. It's a really nice knife, guys. I think I'm gonna have to say that this is a highly recommended knife. As far as the negatives, I guess the only negative that I can come up here with, guys, is that this is going to be well, at least for me, I have limited sharpening skills. I mean, I'm not the best knife sharpener in the absolute total world. I mean, if you know, truth be told. So this not having any kind of sharpening choil at all, as you can see, this just kind of butts right up against the handle, and I don't know what to do about that. Like, I'm being honest here. I don't know what to do about that as far as sharpening that. I've never had a knife that went right up against the handle. I suppose you could take the knife apart and take the blade out and then sharpen it, but no space whatsoever. It's right up against the handle. So I think this is one of those knives where I need help with this, you know. That's just, you know, me being an honest person. I don't think I have the skill to sharpen this, so that's something to keep in mind. If you're like me and you want to do your own sharpening, maybe this knife isn't for you, because, you know, this isn't going to be the easiest thing in the world to sharpen without, you know, messing it up. I mean, if you don't care about running a sharpening stone up into the scales or into the back of this blade, then, you know, fine. But I do, and I don't want to do that. So, I mean, I think that this, for me, is a knife where I'm going to need some sharpening help with it, at least as things stand now. Maybe my sharpening skill improves enough where I bite this off. But the good news is, this thing holds an edge so well that, you know, it's going to be a long time before I need to worry about sharpening it. So guys, I think that's going to wrap it up. Let me know in the comments what you think. We'll get you another knife to take a look at. Maybe something a little more affordable.